Matthew and Olivia are just going to say a few words to start. So just before the start of the school year, I was fortunate enough to gain the position as the new school captain of Tyree High School, along with 2 vice captains who are here with me today. Even though it hasn't been long since the school year started, I was privileged enough to be invited to join a podcast, run by Education Scotland and hosted by our very own headmaster, Mr. Bain. The podcast was nationwide and focused on pupil empowerment. This gave me the rare opportunity to hear from a plethora of different head boys and head girls across schools in Scotland about empowerment and leadership. While the main point of the podcast was to discuss empowerment, this was also an opportunity to link up with the leadership team in Scotland, in Oban. It will be a pleasure to work closely with the head boy and head girl over in Oban this year, and I'm excited to find out what projects we'll partake in. Working with the leadership team in Oban is an amazing opportunity, and I personally feel as though I've gained confidence in meeting new people. There's also another unique opportunity I feel as though it's worth mentioning. After Mr. Bain was appointed as the head teacher, the use of VC lessons were implemented, with subjects being taught both to and from Oban. This offers students an assortment of courses to take, including religious, moral, philosophical studies, administration, business studies, journalism, radio broadcasting, and so many more. If we are unable to offer a course such as biology or physics due to a teacher having a full timetable or lack of teacher, our pupils don't miss out, as they can still take that course via VC. So I tell you all of this in all honesty. I was in 3rd year when I started taking some courses through VC, and I struggled with it. As someone who has described themselves as very shy, I was intimidated by the idea of meeting a new teacher over a screen, learning in a completely new way, and most importantly, socialising with my new classmates when I can't even see them. And while I can stand here and tell you how much I struggled, I don't want to. In fact, I'd rather tell you how easier it's become as I've progressed through the years. From being in 3rd year and never speaking to my teachers, to being in 5th year where I am just now, speaking to my teachers regularly, picking up what I'm learning in my courses, and making new connections through my classmates. My main point is that learning new skills is absolutely the way to get ready for life after school. We need to build resilience and overcome fears and self-doubt, and if we do, we can achieve anything we want. Personally, I found that being courageous and stepping up to challenges has helped me develop new skills. Skills such as confidence, communication, researching, of course IT skills, and so many more. But I must emphasise the confidence that I've gained through these experiences. They have allowed me to stand here, because if I was the person I was in 3rd year, I'd most definitely not be up here like I am just now. I wish the students this year all the very best and good luck, whether you're sitting exams or preparing for them in the future. I'll now hand you over to one of our vice captains, Olivia Bruce.
At the end of the summer term, the opportunity came up to apply to be part of the senior pupil leadership team. At the beginning, I wasn't sure if I should apply, as I was only an S4, although I decided to push myself. I submitted an application and was brought forward for an interview and received the role as one of the vice captains. I'm looking forward to seeing what the role brings and doing best for the pupils. Earlier this year, myself and the other S3s took part on a joint school trip with Oban High School to the Outward Bound Centre at Lochiel, where we had the opportunity to partake in many outdoor activities and challenges such as abseiling and ziplining. This improved our leadership skills, confidence, teamwork, resilience. During this trip, we had the chance to make many new friends from Oban High School and many other schools around Argyll and Bute. This helped us develop our conversational skills and people skills, which will help us in future once we leave school.
From the start of last year and into the future, there are many opportunities, both within and out with Tyree Nursery, Primary and Tyree High School, for pupils to become involved. These opportunities will help develop people's leadership skills, confidence, public speaking, and will promote pupil empowerment within the schools. Tyree Primary School has a set of house captains, with each captain having a vice. This helps promote leadership, teamwork, independence and communication. However, Tyree High School operates a senior people leadership team which consists of one school captain and 2 vice captains. These roles help support leadership, inter-school communication, and we are always communicating with Mrs Cooney as the senior deputy head teacher and Mr Bain as the executive head teacher about decision making on behalf of People Voice. Out with the school, pupils have opportunities to volunteer with Willie McKinnon, who is at the Tyree Trust, who is here with us today. Pupils have the opportunity to help with sports coaching at the hockey and football club, as well as help with the youth club. Primary pupils also have the opportunity to play pickleball, which is run by Jill Shand. Among sports, pupils also have the opportunity to make a change across islands with the Young Ireland Network. I have had the chance to work with the Young Ireland Network, whose aim is to promote Young Islanders' voices and ensure they are heard by decision makers. As someone who is involved with it, I have had the opportunity to meet other young people from islands as far away as Shetland and as close as Bute. The Young Ireland Network has given me the opportunity to improve my confidence and meet new people. We will now hear from our head teacher, Mr Bain.
Thank you very much and welcome to our prize giving for 2023. Those of you who have been attending prize givings for a year, a couple of years or however long, I hope you'll notice that there's a wee difference in the approach that we're taking. I'm not the man that comes up and introduces it, and I'm not the person that is giving you the long-winded speeches, although mine is going to last about 40 minutes. Although Rhoda's is 50, so we're only kidding. Do you know the most important people in this room are the young people? And we have an obligation to the young people to educate them in so many ways. The only way we can educate them, really, beyond putting them in a wee box like we do year after year for the last 150 years, is actually to give them loads of experiences. Because it's the experiences, more than anything else, that prepares young people for life. Yes, they go into our wee rectangular boxes and we teach them valuable subjects like history, which is clearly the best subject that everybody should do, being a historian to trade. Maths, English, music, science, all the traditional subjects that you all well have done yourselves. And now we're introducing things like engineering and hairdressing and baccalaureates and foundation apprenticeships across the country. Some of these subjects we have in Tyree just now, many yet to be implemented as time goes on. And it's my ambition that Tyree will continue to expand the wealth and the breadth of academic and vocational subjects. Around 30%, some schools 40% of youngsters go into university. And that's fantastic because then they use those university or college qualifications to go into the workplace. But 60 to 70% of our youngsters leave school and go straight to work. And so we must put on as many experiences and many vocational qualifications for that 60 to 70% as we do for the 30 to 40. And that's what we've been striving to do over these many years. And not just in Tyree, but nationally. You heard Abby talking earlier about an experience that we gave her to take part in a national podcast run by Education Scotland. Education Scotland is the organisation that runs education across all the 358 schools in the country. And I've been fortunate to be asked to lead some aspect of Education Scotland's work along with the Scottish Government. And so it would be amiss of me not to use my own kids to put them on the national stage and show how talented and how clever and how ambitious they are. And so my thanks to Abby in particular, although there are many thanks still to come, but my thanks to Abby in particular for showing that bravery that she mentioned in the speech that she wrote. Because without that bravery and without going out with your comfort zone, something we all need to learn to do, no matter whether we live in Tyree or Edinburgh or wherever, without that courage and ambition, we'd just be doing the same old, year in, year out, which is obviously what we're trying to avoid here. So my thanks to Abby for her work on the national stage, as well as her work along with the other school captains today. So that's where we're trying to go. We're trying to go forward in the 21st century to make sure that every youngster who comes through nursery into the primary and into the high school develop skills and experiences and, of course, knowledge as they go along. But at each stage through nursery, primary and high school, they should be getting pushed a wee bit. And that's sometimes uncomfortable. And it's certainly uncomfortable for parents. It's more uncomfortable for parents the younger the youngster is. But I would ask for your support and your forbearance there. Because as well as developing skills and building ambition, we must build resilience, because life's no easy. And the earlier we build that resilience through giving them more and more experiences that challenge them and challenge their ambition, the better we'll become later, the easier the task will become, the less resilience we'll need by the time we're adults. Although even the adults sitting in the room know that we need resilience too. So, I'd like to say that I'm really proud to have so many of our youngsters taking on that ambition and showing that resilience. And they're so keen to learn here. It's incredible. All of them are incredibly keen. And levels of ambition and resilience will come at different stages for different people. And because of that keenness and because of that ambition, it makes it so much easier for them to gain award for achievement through dedication, hard work and commitment. So that pride that I have for my children who have shown that keen commitment to their learning is going to be exemplified in the next part of our prize giving, and I'm going to ask that our young leaders continue to lead and go through the list of prizes, and I shall take great pleasure in handing out the awards. So, before I get the pleasure of handing out the glass trophies and their certificates, I'm going to pass over to Abby, who's going to introduce our wonderful guest speaker. Thank you.
It is a pleasure to announce that today's guest speaker is Rhoda Meek, an outstanding member of the community and entrepreneur who is at the forefront of using digital technology to create business opportunities, both in Tiree and in other islands. She's a native Gaelic speaker and always supports the school when asked. I'll hand you over to her now so she can tell you about her journey.
Martin va. Hasho Karen Ukaloch, Gansik you, Nimi. For the terrified faces in the audience, I'm not going to keep going in Gaelic. Yeah, more faces than I expected, to be honest, but thank you very much for inviting me. I'm honoured to be here. And I know I'm just the bit that you have to sit through now before you get to the more exciting awards bit, but I'll try and keep it interesting. Mrs. Cooney asked me to tell you a little bit about my life, about my journey from school to being here today, and about how there is no wrong path and how experiences matter as much as qualifications. And I looked at my work history and I thought, well, do you know what? That fits. So I'm going to give you a whistle-stop tour of my career to date to prove that she's absolutely right. See if you can keep track of how many jobs I've had. I got my first job at 13. I was serving in a chip shop. And from 15, I worked in a nursing home, cooking and cleaning, until I left school. My hobby was computers, specifically building websites back in 98, 99, which probably seems like last century to many of you. I never knew what I wanted to be. For a while I wanted to be a vet and then a journalist, and I loved computers, but they kind of weren't quite there yet. It wasn't really an option. So I went to uni to do English, and Mr. Bain will be delighted to hear history. But it turned out that although I had really, really good grades, uni wasn't the right place for me. My sister, on the other hand, loved uni. She's now a very well-paid doctor. So I dropped out of university without finishing my first year. And my dad's a university professor, so it didn't go down well. I went and worked for an outdoor centre, cooking and cleaning, and they gave me a job because I had experience working in a chip shop in a nursing home. And I applied for jobs with the BBC because I still thought I wanted to be a journalist. And I applied as a news trainee, and I failed, and I applied for other traineeships, and I failed. And then a job came up, presenting Gaelic Kids Telly. Now, when I was at high school, there were 900 other kids in the high school. That's the entire population of Tiree and half of it again in one school. And I was the only one who spoke Gaelic. And I hated it. And I was the only one being taught Gaelic, and I hated that too. And when I went home, my dad corrected me all the time, and you know what? I hated that too. In fact, most of the time, I didn't really see what the point of Gaelic actually was. But fast forward a few years, I'm 19, I've dropped out of university, and I'm looking for work. And it turned out that having Gaelic was a little bit of a superpower, because I got the job with no experience presenting kids telly. And I ended up doing it for 5 years. And I think I do get a little bit of bragging rights here, because I did some very cool things, including swimming with dolphins and a whale, and jumping out of a plane at 10,500 feet. I had a parachute on. I was incredibly, incredibly lucky. But there's only so long that you can be a kids' TV presenter, and it came time to move on, and that's the feeling you'll all experience all too soon. So I went to work at the Scottish Parliament, teaching classes like you about democracy. In Gaelic. I got that job thanks to speaking Gaelic too. But it didn't suit me. I'm not a serious person, and I spent a lot of times in hotels eating dinner by myself. I'm not a suit job person. But because I'd worked in the Parliament, I managed to get a job doing community development work. They took a chance on me. I had no experience at all, but I was willing to learn. In fact, before the interview, I spent 7 days straight reading up about community development. They also liked that I could work computers. And I did that for quite a few years, working with lots of community groups in and around Glasgow, covering a whole range of topics. I'd always wanted my own business, so during that time, I tried opening a cafe. It was a complete failure. It was a spectacular failure. It was open less than a year. It was an expensive failure and a very public one. It wasn't a good moment. I did learn a lot, though, about how not to run a business. For a while, I was freelance, building websites, so my hobby came in handy. And then I got a job working from home. It was a job doing IT, marketing and development for a Gaelic learning system called Ulpan, a winning combination of my hobby and Gaelic. And that was the job that let me move back to Tiree, because I could work from home. And that job gave me the confidence to apply for other remote jobs. And over the last 10 years, I've been working for American software companies, doing technical support for their customers. And weirdly, I got my first job with an American company because the manager loved Scotland and was really excited that I spoke Gaelic and lived on an island. So go figure. Anyway, these jobs meant that I could focus on getting the house and the croft back on their feet, and somehow I now have a tea company and a web development agency and cows and sheep and a lot more grey hair. Now that's probably slightly more of a journey than Mrs. Cooney was expecting, and I'm not going to talk to you for much longer because there are like awards happening or something that are important. But I wanted to just keep talking for a few minutes anyway, because some people, they know what they want to be. They study, they go for it, and they become that thing. My sister, the doctor, studied for 20 years after she left school. She sat more exams than I think is healthy, but now she's a consultant. She is at the very top of her profession. Some people don't know what they want to be, and that is okay. I had no idea what I wanted to be, and I still don't. But I like learning. I've taught myself loads of things by reading or Googling, and I did get a degree in the end through distance learning with the Open University, which I highly recommend. I used to be embarrassed to ask questions. I thought that I should know things and that people would laugh at me for not knowing. But I've realised that it's okay to ask questions. In fact, the more questions you ask, the faster you learn. I've learned that I shouldn't be afraid to try things. As you've just heard, I've tried a lot of things. Some things have worked great, And some things have really not worked great. I've had lots of failures. And it's going to sound like a cliche, because every single one hurt, but I did learn a lot from them. Some cliches are cliches because they're true. And I've also discovered that I learn best by doing. I read about it, maybe a quick scan of a guide or a video, and then I dive in and I make an absolute mess of it until I figure it out. The rest of my family learns by studying hard and sitting exams and collecting degrees. Other people need to hear things or be shown things. So try to figure out how you learn best, because that makes learning so much more fun. If you were keeping count, who was keeping count? What number do you think?
15.
Yep, 15? 10. You're in between the two. If you include crofting, it was 13. I've had 13 totally different types of jobs. Everyone will have a different path. And it turns out that one person can also have lots of different paths. You just need to look at my really wiggly career line. So ask questions and try new things. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Figure out how you learn best. And if you get the chance to add to your skills and your experience outside of school, take them. Grab the opportunities and make the most of them, because that might make a difference one day. And if you can keep your Gaelic up, do it, because it might come in really handy. Happily.
We would like to congratulate the following Primary 1 to 4 pupils for their attainment, effort, presentation, progress and speaking Gaelic. We invite you to clap at the end of each year group. Primary 1, Jensing Billington, Echa McPhail, Holly Kennedach, Amber Nichiol, Amy Nichenish, Caitlin Nichenish, Ona McConaughey, Fiona McLennan and Freya Wilburn. Primary 2, Rosemary Bennett, Harrison McCarster, Aaron Nichenighing, Holly Nichenighing and Odin Wright. Hennessy and Ross McArster. Primary 4, Ellie Billington, Isla Kennedy, Innes Kerr, Andrew McGill, Adrian Ginnihan and Sorla Wright.
We'd like to congratulate the following P1 to 3 pupils for their achievement, effort, presentation and progress. Primary 1, Rory Kerr.
That's right.
Primary 3, Elliot Russell.
We would like to congratulate the following P5 to 7 pupils for their attainment, effort, presentation, progress and speaking Gaelic. P5, Owen Hines, Rhoda McCall, Callum MacArthur and Rowan Mayo. P6, Keris Colehart, Evie Hobbins, Jessica Kennedy, Gracie Lockhart, Archie MacArthur, Mackenzie MacArthur, Jackson Bruce, Michael McLean and Blythe Wright. 7, Cameron Knowles and Ailish McKechnie.
We'd like to congratulate the following Primary 5 to 7 pupils for their attainment, effort, presentation and progress. Primary 5, Betty Alcock, Robbie Campbell, Reuben Milburn, Jacob Russell and Rufus Wright. Primary 6, Stuart Good, Mia Langley, Katrina McGregor, Neve McLean, Jasmine Maguire, Kenzie Milne and Alex Wallace.
Take that down to Katrina. Can you take it down to Katrina? Primary 7, Lachlan Christie.
Next, we have the Primary After School Music Club Awards for Outstanding Musician. This is awarded to Cameron Knowles. This year, the Brian Milne Memorial Quake for Art and Design in Primary goes to Neve McLean.
Positive Learning Awards for each of our 4 primary classes are as follows. P1 to 4M, Duncan Connor. P5 to 7M, Katrina McGregor. P1 to 4C, Jessica Hennessy. P5 to 7R, Mackenzie MacArthur.
So our final award for our primary school goes to a youngster who has demonstrated that commitment, that level of skill, that level of dedication and that level of achievement that goes just that wee bit beyond. And each year it gives me great pleasure to present the ultimate accolade in terms of this type of award, and that is for our primary school ducks, who is Lachlan. Well done. Great.
And there's one more thing as well for Lachlan.
Oh, sorry, Lachlan. I forgot to give you your name.
We'd like to congratulate the following pupils for their attainment and effort whilst in S1 to 3. In S1, Tori Milne for Gaelic learners. Attainment in Gaelic learners. Lucy Kennedy for effort in French. Charlotte McKechnie for attainment in English and physical education. Evie Meyer for attainment in music and effort in Gaelic learners. Eddie McLean for attainment in Gaelic and effort in computing science, art and design and physical education. Charlotte Vale for attainment in science and French and effort in English. Anya Wright for attainment in English and art and design. In S2, we have Liam Walker for effort in physical education. Lewis Gunn for effort in Gaelic learners. Eva Armstrong for attainment in music. And Alistair McGregor for attainment in mathematics, science, French, Gaelic learners and physical education. In S3, we have Olivia Bruce for attainment in physics, chemistry, biology and effort in physical education. Molly Knowles in English and French for attainment in English and French and effort in music. Max McKinnon for attainment in physical education and effort in computing science, Gaelic and admin. And Fallon Milne for attainment in art and design and effort in mathematics, English and Gaelic learners.
We'd like to congratulate the following pupils for their attainment and effort whilst in S4 and S5. Emma Walker, S4 for effort in geography. Callum McCall, S4 for attainment in Gaelic. Abby McDowell, S4 for attainment in English, chemistry, music, religious and moral philosophical studies and effort in biology. And Rhys Langley, S4 for attainment in physical education. And S5, Jack McCaskill for attainment in music.
The Secondary After School Music Club Award for Outstanding Musician goes to Eddie McLean. And next, certificates for consistent contribution as a volunteer at the After School Music Club goes to Anya Wright, S1, Lucy Kennedy, S1, Charlotte Vale, S1, Max McKinnon, S3, Abby McDowell, S4, Matthew McDowell, S4, and Callum McCall, S4.
Tyree Association Awards for overall attainment and effort in each of the secondary year groups go to Iona MacDonald, S1, for overall attainment in computing science and overall effort in English, science, music and Gaelic. Casey Coulthard, S2, for overall attainment in English and overall effort in mathematics, computing science, music, science and Gaelic. Katie Jane McKechnie, S3, for overall attainment of mathematics, music and overall effort in chemistry, biology and art and design. Matthew McDowell, S4, for overall attainment in history and overall effort in English, computing science, chemistry, music and religious, moral and philosophical studies. Neil Hugh McKinnon, S5, for overall attainment in English and physical education.
The Gaelic Awards, kindly funded by Common and Para and Hira, go to S1 Tory Mill, Most Improvement in Gaelic Learners. S1 Evie Meyer, Highest Attainment in Gaelic Learners. S1 Charlotte Vale, Greatest Effort in Gaelic. S1 Lucy Canada, Greatest Effort in Gaelic. S3 Katie Senior Nika Panya, Greatest Attainment in Gaelic. And S4 Callan McCullough, Greatest Effort and Improvement in Gaelic.
And in S3, Olivia Bruce for Greatest Attainment in Gaelic.
We would like to introduce Willie McKinnon to announce our Sporting Achievement Awards.
That's the stairs negotiated. I thought I would take a flyer there. Here we go. For the greatest improvement in sport,
in Tyree High School, the Alistair Kennedy Trophy is awarded to Molly Knowles. The 2023 Tyree High School Sports Day revealed many great sports people. The sports champions of the day are as follows. Secondary sports champions, junior girls, sports champion Ailish McKechnie. The junior boys sports champion goes to Jarlath McKechnie and Eddie McLean. Senior girls sports champion Olivia Bruce. Senior boys sports champion Aidan McDonald. The highly prized Johnny Mackenzie Trophy for Inter-House Sports for 2023, drum roll, goes to Bandsman.
Right, thanks very much. That's all the individual awards. We reserve the final award of the evening as a collective award for effort and commitment and dedication. And I think that this is perhaps one of the most special awards to give out. I know that all the parents are sitting beaming because your youngster has done so well and thoroughly well deserved it will be picking up one of these awards. But I think when our kids come together and work together as a team, and not only work together as a team, but work together as a team for the benefit of the community and for others, and do a lot of charity work and show compassion as well as ambition, then I think that should deserve special praise. And we recognise the combined efforts of all our youngsters in doing that charity work and in working on behalf of their house and in working on behalf of their peers and working on behalf of the school. And when we count up all the points for that collective endeavour, we hand out the annual house prize, and this year the winning house is Columba. of course, Kenzie we didn't want to bring them all onto the stage. The stage is a wee bit wee, I maybe need to buy a bigger stage. I'd just like to say, I'm not going to do the vote of thanks, my kids are going to do the vote of thanks, but it would be remiss of me not to say thank you very much to all those who took part in organising the event. It's a big event, as you can tell. There's lots that go into it. The amount of admin work that Jan's involved in, superb. All these new glass trophies we've got. I've got a technician in Oban who has to sit and engrave them. They're all engraved in-house to make sure that we get the spelling right as well. We of course have the lights and our audio-visual producer at the back, Mary Forbes, who's filming the thing for you, so that if anybody was missing, they can still see their kids picking up a wee trophy. Anya and Lorna, of course, taking a lead in the organisation of the event. All I've really got to do is stand up here and say nice things about everyone, which is quite easy. And I'm going to say my final thanks, of course, to our youngsters who have led the event. So, I'm going to end now by saying I hope you have enjoyed the event from my personal view, and I hope you have a safe journey home, and thank you very much to everyone. Thank you.
So we have a lot of people to say thank you to, so we'd appreciate it if you hold your applause till the end. We'd like to start off by saying thank you to the Hebridean Whale and Dolphin Trust.
And Gillian Walker for her work with all our pupils.
We'd like to say thank you to both bus companies, John Kennedy Transport, as well as Ring and Ride, and AJ McLean for ensuring all pupils get to school on time.
Thank you to Hayley the Ranger for helping out with the kids in school in different activities.
Farmhouse Cafe for providing the end-of-term lunch for the nursery children.
The Tyree Trust for all the after-school clubs that are put on, as well as a Friday football for the primaries during golden time.
Specifically, Willie McKinnon for his support in the after-school clubs. Thank you.
Our janitor, Megan.
David Ferguson, the technician in Oban, who has engraved all the trophies today.
Hillipole Church and the Baptist Church for letting us use their churches during end-of-term services.
Joan Reynolds for doing the primary swimming.
Oban High School for helping organise free pupils in Tyree to go on the battlefield trip in June.
Miss Forbes for taking some of our students to a trip in Paris earlier this year.
Alison Coulthard, our school nurse who provides guidance, advice and our immunisations for our pupils.
The Co-op in Buavala.
Rhoda Meek for being our guest speaker and giving a very good speech.
And Will Wright for doing yoga classes with us.
As well as the Heinrich Centre for helping organise the P67 trip.
We'd like to say a massive thank you to all the staff in the school, whether you're lunch ladies or support staff, and of course the teachers for teaching us. We'd also like to say a very big thank you to Jan Patterson, the clerical, for all of our hard work this year. And of course, we'd like to say thank you to Mr. Bain, our headmaster, because he runs the school. And another thank you to the Tyree Association for giving us the awards. Yes. Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming and listening to us. And well done to all the students for their awards and how hard they've worked this year. Thank you.